Hello everybody, thank you for joining us today. You are part of the 300 people worldwide who have registered to view this webcast powered by Yield Development and dedicated to TSV. My name is Camille Verrier and I am Marketing and Communication Project Manager for Yield Development. Before we get started with the webcast, I would like to give you some information regarding the logistics. You have the possibility during all the webcasts to submit questions. In order to do so, you simply have to use the box at the bottom of the screen labeled Ask a Question. We will answer as many questions today as time permits, and for the remaining questions, we will make a follow-up via email within a week. Concerning the materials and content, please note that the presentation is available and downloadable in the Materials section at the bottom of the screen too, and you will also receive an email after the webcast and within 24 hours with a link to the recorded session. Today, Yield Development, Nomade, and System Plus Consulting will share their analysis for you to discover the status of 3D TSV technologies for a wide range of applications. First, let's start with the 3D TSV and 2.5D Interconnect for Advanced Packaging Technologies and Market Trends Overview, presented by Émilie Jolivet. She is Market and Technology Analyst at Yield Development. Émilie, please.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad to be the first speaker today to introduce this wide and moving topic that is TSV. As TSV is present in different markets, we will start making a point around the commercialized products using TSV integration, then focusing in the first part on high-end products aimed at gaming and networking applications. In connection with Nomade presentation, we will review the TSV stacked memory market. In the second part, in connection with System Plus Consulting presentation, I will make a status about TSV middle-end products aimed at consumer markets such as CMOS image sensor, fingerprint, and more. So, to start, a few figures about what TSV represents in the semiconductor business today. It will be $1 billion revenues for 3D stacked memory in 2021. It will be more than 1 million TSV-based CMOS image sensor wafers in 2017. In 2016, that were 200,000 wafers for TSV stacked memory. And during the same year, 155 million units TSV-based fingerprint sensors were produced. So, in link with this quite impressive figures, I wanted to explain our focus today. Among the several packaging platforms available in the industry, today our focus is the 3D integration because it's one of the most powerful packaging platforms, and it consists in stacking components and interconnect them with metal vias. So we have used the name TSV, but sometimes we also hear TGV when it is based on a glass interposer. So back to these impressive figures we heard. TSV was quite long to hit the market due to yield and cost reasons and competitions with well-implemented packaging platforms. But step by step, more products are integrating TSV. And now we can say that TSV is going mainstream for high-end applications. 2013-2014 were the year where we saw the first TSV-based CMOS image sensors hitting the market. 2015 and 2016 were the year for high-end memory stacked. So even if the adoption was not as fast as expected primarily, first commercializations of TSV were successful, and all the development achieved by OSATs and integrators suggest this market is organizing itself around key applications, making it sustainable in the future. So we see two trends in 3D TSV components. One is driven by the performance, which was the first initial driver of this packaging platform. Product developers integrate TSV during the conception of the components so as to make sure that the product will reach the expected level of efficiency, such as TSV stack memory brought to the market in 2015, whom bandwidth was requested to double while maintaining power consumption constant. And the second trend of commercialized products that we see is based on heterogeneous integrations, and it is driven by the cost and the form factor. So this is more the sensor part, fingerprints, CMOS, and so on, that will be detailed a bit later. So let's focus on high-end products first. So what is driving right now this high-end product is, on one side, the IoT business. So for the IoT, as we know it, there is a huge need of data management, data treatment. So it goes through servers, data centers, and those data centers require high-performance computing, a lot of to solve a lot of thermal management issues. So 3D packages, 3D platforms are really the key solutions for this type of applications. So mainly the 3D interconnections, as we saw earlier, including the 2.5D, silicon, and eventually glass interposers. Those memories, because most of them are memory components, are packaged in a flip-chip BGA. So as we see it now, so if we go a little one step backward, so in 2015, we had the introduction of graphic cards using TSV stack memory. 2016 are the year for the high-performance computing. 2017, we will have networking solutions using TSV stack memory. And 2018 should be a year of consolidations, and we also here see new potential applications such as medical imaging processing that request data treatment, data storage. Now we can ask for which type of functionalities. Actually, there are a lot of developments which is made around machine learning, also named deep learning. And this deep learning is used in many fields. We mentioned IoT, but there are also autonomous vehicles that require for autonomous driving a lot of data management, but also medicine and biology, infotainment, media entertainment, and security and defense, where we also know that there is a huge need of data treatment. Now, if we have a look at the commercialized product, they started being launched, let's say, in 2011 by Xilinx, Micron, and now there are successful commercialized applications which were based mainly around graphic cards by AMD that were using stack memory. Also Intel Altera are expected to launch the Stratix 10 soon. And more recently, for those who didn't have the chance to follow the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas last week, AMD launched its latest graphic card, GPU for graphic card, named Radeon Vega 10. And this let's say GPU is aimed at gaming and high-performance computing market. It will include the second version of the high bandwidth memory that will replace the first one, and we can expect a double bandwidth. So all these products, commercialized products, demonstrate that there is a trend, or let's say a sustainable trend, of using, consolidate the use of TSV stack memory. Now, if we have a look at the supply chain of this stack memory, they involve quite a lot of players. So there are 5 key 3D memory manufacturers which are Micron, Switzerland in USA, Toshiba, SK hynix, and Samsung in Asia. Audrey Bastard from Nomad will share with you some information about their IP positioning and their strengths. And what is interesting to see is how they are organized. So if we consider the device itself, we need a memory manufacturer, we need a GPU manufacturer, also the interposer, the substrate, and we have another to be involved. And as I was saying previously, all the industry is getting organized to deliver reliable and cost-competitive products. So as you can see on this slide, so for graphic cards that were the first product introduced, Samsung and SK hynix have launched HBM1 and HBM2 products, and they were found in NVIDIA and AMD hand devices. For networking servers and supercomputers, Samsung and SK hynix are also the leaders, and they deliver to Cisco and Juniper Networks. And for gaming console, those two companies deliver to Sony and Microsoft. HBM, which is one of the stack memory, is a standard now. It is part of the JEDEC consortium, but Audrey will talk about that later. Now, one thing that is very interesting is the market forecast, because in 2015 we started by a number of 59,000 wafers. In 2017 we expect 226, and we know that in 2021 it will be around 570,000 wafers, which makes a CAGR of nearly 45%. And in 2021 it will be around 1 billion revenues. So those figures are quite impressive, and we see a trend of using the stack memory. Now, as we still have some time, so let's discuss about heterogeneous integration, which is used for sensors. So, sensors roadmap is also quite impressive, because if we have a look at what is going to take place in the next 20 years, we see that autonomous driving, drones, and robotics are the driving applications, driving market, and they request more and more connected devices. So in that sense, we had a look at all the sensors and actuators available on the market, and we tried to sort the ones that were using TSV for real. So in the case of the sensors, we found TSV in accelerometers, in gas and humidity sensors, but also for some optical sensors like the fingerprint, the imaging, the ambient light sensors, and the microbolometers. For the actuators, we found TSV in the resonator for RF applications. So the CMOS image sensor is the product which has benefited a lot from the TSV. The consumer market for image sensor is quite important, as we find TSV CMOS image sensors in premium smartphone, and Romain will share with you impressive illustrations of the TSV. It's true that the CMOS image sensor started some years ago with a front side illuminated, moved quite fastly to backside, then to a three-stack backside, and 2016 were the year where the first 3D hybrid BS-side product were launched. It was found in a Samsung, and now we hear from blue chip CMOS image sensor company like Sony about 3 wafer stacking involving the signal processing, the memory, and the sensing area. So here, this is for you the illustration of the 3D backside illuminated sensor as we know it. So with the TSV that were launched 2-3 years ago in premium smartphones. And as you can see on the right side, this is an hybrid bonding where the connection is made directly between two coprovias. This market has moved fast, and it will continue to move fast actually, because in 2015 there were no hybrid bonding, and in 2021 the hybrid bonding will stand for 38%. So in a very short time there will be a huge transition in the CMOS image sensor technology. Front side that were for 41% will go down to 27%. So now I will let Audrey share with you some information about TSV stack memory, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Emily, for this interesting presentation. Once again, do not hesitate to ask questions using the Q&A button, and we will try to reply as much as possible during the Q&A session at the end of the webcast. Let's continue now with Audrey Bastard. She's Technology and Patent Analyst for Nomade, and she will focus her presentation on the TSV stacked memory patent landscape. Audrey?
Hello everybody, thank you for the introduction. This last years, I've seen some changes on the TSV memory market with first product appearance like 3DS, DDR4 and HBM, like Emily told us, but also first patent litigations between ALM 3DS and microelectronic giants, Samsung Electronics, SK hynix and Micron Technology. In such a context, we have investigated the patent landscape of the TSV stack memory, and I will present you some extracts from our patent analysis. Different configurations exist for the 3D approach. In this report that I will present you, we focus on TSV stacking memory. This year, we will publish another report on 3D memory that includes vertical 3D memory and cross-bond memory architecture. The report includes patents related to TSV stack memory and packages for TSV memory dies or chips. We have excluded the patents related to other stack memory without TSV or memory without 3D architecture, stack memory, using device or using wire connections. The data were extracted from the FabPath Worldwide database of Questel. We have selected more than 400 patent families relevant for the study. A patent family is a set of patents filed in multiple countries to protect a single invention by a common inventor. A first application is made in one country, the priority country, and is then extended to other countries. This graph here shows the ranking of patent applicants according to the number of their TSV stack memory patent families. Currently, main IP applicants are industrial players, mainly from the USA, Japan, and Korea. Samsung, Micron and Elpida, SK hynix, Toshiba, and Intel. The top two of the main assignees, Micron Technology, who owns also Elpida Memories patent since its acquisition in 2013, and Samsung Electronics own more than 50% of the whole patent families in industry. Tesaron holds 6 patent families filed between 2004 and 2007. They are all describing three-dimensional integrated circuit design and are not focusing specifically on memory stacking. This graph here shows the time evolution of patent publications with the number of patent families for each applicant. First, patents involving TSV stack memories were already published in the 90s, but the development of the technology really started in the mid-2000s with a significant increase of patent publications since then. To this date, more than 400 patent families relating to TSV stack memory technology have been published. We observed a decrease of patent applications the last 2 years, while the first product appears on the market. This map shows the global patenting activity of main players. The USA is by far the first country of patent publication for TSV memory. Today, the number of granted patents and patent applications is increasing worldwide, and according to this patenting activity, we can see that the areas of market interest for TSV players are mainly the USA, Japan, China, Taiwan, and Korea. The companies involved in TSV stack memory have different IP strategies. While Micron has a worldwide IP strategy, Samsung is focusing its patenting activities in the USA and Korea, and Toshiba in the USA and Japan. This graph shows the IP position of the main players versus the average remaining lifetime of the granted patents. The circles are proportional to the number of patent families. The IP position results from several indicators, such as the number of granted patents, the geographic coverage of patents, the number of citations received by the patent portfolio, the contribution to the prior art, and the IP blocking potential. Micron Technology has a good IP position, but Samsung is leading the TSV memory patent landscape with strongest IP position. Both companies feature a large enforceable patent portfolio and a long remaining lifetime of their granted patents of more than 10 years. Micron Elpida has the most important contribution to the prior art in the TSV memory area and a strong IP leadership, while Samsung shows the highest IP blocking potential and significant IP leadership. SK hynix, despite a long remaining lifetime of its granted patents, 15 years, shows a weak IP position. All TSV stacked memory patents selected for the study have been categorized by patented technology: TSV, microburns, stacking, packaging, and others. Main technical solutions found in patent portfolio of top applicants have also been categorized as follows: error repair, multi-channel package, connection failure, alignment accuracy, and thermal dissipation. This picture shows the main patent applicants for each segment. As you can see, some players have a patent portfolio focused on specific patented technology, such as Toshiba for memory stacking issues, or Samsung for control of the stack and interconnections, while others, such as SK hynix or Micron Elpida, show a broader technological coverage. As for main technical solutions, SK hynix and Samsung focus on most of them, while Micron concentrates particularly on error repair and thermal dissipation. You can find all details about the patent segmentation in the Excel file provided with the report. This patent database enables to know for each patent the categories to which it belongs. In November 2014, ELM3DS sued Micron Technology, Samsung Electronics, and SK hynix on memory circuit technology. Mr. Liddy ELM's president and inventor, developed a patent portfolio in the N90s around three-dimensional stack 3DS integrated circuit technology. The 3DS technology uses thin, polished, flexible substrates to form vertical stacks of integrated circuits that are connected to one another using either wire bonds or vertical interconnects that pass through the stack substrates. Micron Technology, Samsung Electronics, and SK Hynix are trying to invalidate ELM's patents in suits since then, and of course, ELM is not decided to let it go. This spring, final decision should be known on these cases. This patent litigation is described in detail in the report. To conclude on the TSV stack memory patent landscape, all of the major IP applicants involved in TSV stack memory brought products into the market, except Toshiba, which will propose TSV NAND this year. According to the global patenting activity, the areas of market interest for TSV memory players are mainly the USA, Japan, China, Taiwan, and Korea. And Europe does not seem to be a market area of interest for Asian players, except for Micron Technology. Micron has a good IP position, but Samsung is leading the TSV memory patent landscape with strongest IP position. We have also observed the different patented technologies and technical solutions of each top applicant in the TSV stack memory patent landscape. The patent litigation between ELM, 3DS, and SK Hynix, Micron, and Samsung should end this spring after more than 2 years of discussions. Thank you, everyone. I will let Romain speak about CMOS TSV sensor.
Thank you, Audrey. Thank you very much for your presentation. So yes, as Audrey mentioned, we will continue and end this webcast with the presentation of Romain Fro. He's project manager for System Plate Consulting, and he will present 3D TSV for sensor components. Romain?
Thank you very much for the introduction. Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here today to share with you some slides of our latest analysis we made at System Plate Consulting. So today I will present you some reports we released based on 3D TSV for sensors. So I propose to share with you 4 topics linked to this 3D stacking linked to sensor components. So I will begin with the CMOS image sensor, as Emily told you at the beginning of the webcast. Then I will show you some fingerprint sensors examples. Then I will continue with ambient light sensors, and to finish I will share with you an example of one inertial sensor using this 3D stacking with TSV integration. So to begin with the CMOS image sensor, just to highlight why the TSV has been introduced, in fact, and how they managed, in fact, to improve the size of the sensors. So as you can see on the slide, the main goal, in fact, of the 3D integration is to obtain at the end to optimize the circuit, one pixel array which is directly stacked on the logic circuit, ISP. So previously, as you can see on the picture on the left, coming from the iPhone 4S some years ago, the techniques was to have only one die linked to the pixel area and the circuit, the logic circuit. And then in order to stack the dies and save some footprint, they managed to remove the logic area at the bottom of the pixel area. Of course, both techniques here use a BSI approach. And as you can see here, they share the same spec with 8 megapixel resolution. Only the pixel size is a little bit more important with the iPhone 5s, but as you can see with picture at scale here, the die size at the end, it's much more optimized with the stacked version. Then this stacking has been improved, in fact, years after years. I'll show you, in fact, the main improvement which has been made for the stacking process. So, of course, when we talk about the stacking process for the CMOS image sensor, one player is mainly making all the volume, which is Sony. So Sony introduced the 3D stacking some years ago. So we saw with the iPhone 5s at this time, but now almost all smartphones using high-end camera, in fact, are using a Sony CMOS image sensor, which is using a 3D stacking for most of them. So, in fact, as you can see, the connection between the pixel array and the logic circuit, in fact, are made with a TSV connection, which are made at the periphery of the die. We observed this year, so in 2016, a new process with the Samsung Galaxy S7, which were holding a new image sensor using an hybrid stacking process. And you can see the picture, in fact, on the right of the screen, showing that the TSV connection has been removed, and all of the connection between the pixel array and the logic circuit are made directly below the pixel area. So by doing that, in fact, we can easily understand the main interest of removing the TSV in order to have a direct connection at the pixel level. If we compare the TSV generation of Sony for this CMOS image sensor stacking, you can observe that the process, in fact, is still the same since the beginning from the third generation. So the logic circuit and the pixel array circuit are bonded with a low temperature oxide-oxide bonding. So the process is mainly based on the Ziptronics, now Tessera, DBI, and copper-copper now bonding process. So the main impact, in fact, has been to remove, in fact, for the first generation, 2 TSV were used to connect the metal layer of the logic circuit and the metal layer of the pixel array. Now, and it's still in production in a lot of CMOS image sensor, Sony preferred to use only 1 TSV connecting directly the pixel array circuit and the logic circuit. So this process is, for example, used in the latest iPhone 7, and the last generation shown in the right of the screen. In fact, here we can see that the TSV has been removed, and now a direct hybrid bonding and copper-copper is used in order to connect the pixel array and the logic circuit. So as I explained just before, the main interest here is to have a possibility to connect, in fact, directly both circuits and directly under the pixel area. But again, the process is the same. It's molecular oxide bonding, which is made at room temperature, so low temperature bonding process, in order to have a very good efficiency of this process. Now let's talk about fingerprint sensor. It's also interesting in order to highlight the use of the 3D TSV, because Apple released with the iPhone 6s a new fingerprint sensor structure using a TSV interconnection process. And you can see on the picture here at the center of the screen that the main interest, in fact, here is to provide better integration of the sensor, because the fingerprint sensor needs to be very close, in fact, to the window protection and to the finger, of course. And as you can see on the cross section of the Apple fingerprint sensor here. The distance between the fingerprint and the window on top of the fingerprint is very small. It's less than 4 micron. So you do not have enough space, in fact, for a wire bonding process here to be introduced. So previously, before introducing a 3D stacking with TSV, Apple used a different approach, making big trench at the periphery of the die to make the integration, and then using a wire bonding process. So now they developed a new process using via middle, TSV via middle process in order to have the possibility to directly make an integration of the TSV below the window, and then to have a wire bonding connection below the sensor die. So this process has been introduced with the iPhone 6s and 6s Plus, so back in September 2015. The same process is still used with the iPhone 7 and iPhone 7 Plus, which has been released later September. So we calculated, in fact, since the size of fingerprint dies are quite important, so more than 40 square millimeter, that the number of wafer which has been produced is quite important, so more than 150,000 12-inch wafer up to date. So link it to just one product from one brand, it's quite amazing, in fact, and we assume that it is right now the highest volume production TSV via middle on the market. Another application using 3D TSV is the ambient light sensors. So AMS released last year, in fact, an ambient light sensor inside a Samsung smartwatch, which is using a VIA-LAST integration, this time not filled with copper but with tungsten, in order, in fact, to have a wafer level chip scale package with a very thin die at the end. So here the die is just 0.32 millimeter thickness, including the ball, which is quite interesting in terms of integration, mainly for wearable and smartwatch. It's not so interesting for smartphone right now, but for all the wearables, it offers very interesting features in order to be integrated in a small space, which is required for the wearable application. If we have a look more in detail of the process which is used by AMS, we can observe here the VIA-LAST, which is 200 micron thick and a diameter of 80 micron. We can observe, in fact, that the goal here is to have the connection of the solder ball directly with the first metal of the back end of line of the die. And another interest here with this process is the ability, in fact, to have the filter. So the photopeak filter, in fact, directly on top of the CMOS metal layer, which was not possible with the previous integration, which was still a wafer level chip scale integration, but not with a 3D TSV approach. So this integration was is called mainly the shell case packaging, which is using an electrical connection at the edge of the die. But to have such wafer level chip scale packaging, you have to use a glass substrate, which is quite important in terms of thickness at the end. So here you have a good comparison in terms of thickness of two AMS ambient light sensors. So on the left you have one ambient light sensor using a shell case packaging process, and on the right you have the one with the 3D TSV approach. So you can observe that with the 3D TSV approach, they manage, in fact, to have a die at the end 48% thinner compared to the previous one, which is still in production for the main ambient light sensor of AMS, but not for wearable or smartwatch applications. Finally, I would like to share with you also another 3D integration of sensors. So here it's an example of an inertial sensor made by M-Cube. It's a 3-axis accelerometer. So M-Cube is now quite famous for its process using a single die approach for the accelerometer. So M-Cube announced just very recently, in fact, a wafer-level chip-scale package accelerometer of 1.1 by 1.3 millimeter size, which is very small right now for a 3-axis accelerometer. So this product, in fact, offers more than 70% volume reduction compared to state-of-the-art LGA 2 by 2 millimeter, which is now the standard for the 3-axis accelerometer on the market. So this kind of new packaging is very important, very interesting for also the wearables in order to be able to have very space constraint applications needed for such applications. So as we can observe on this first cross-section of the M-Cube accelerometer, so M-Cube was also known, in fact, to use some TSV inside the MEMS process. So they are using, in fact, a die, which is a single chip MEMS over CMOS technology, using some TSV connection between the MEMS and the CMOS to realize electrical connection. So these small TSV are made with also a tungsten-based metal approach. And now with this wafer-level chip-scale package product, in fact, M-Cube managed to remove the wire bonding of the die in order to make the connection with the package, and they directly introduce some TSV inside the cap of the MEMS die in order to realize connection between the MEMS and the solder balls at the bottom of the package. So now they are using 2 TSV, in fact, inside the dies, one for the connection between the MEMS and the IC, and other TSV linked to the connection with the package. This product is very new. It's not the first, in fact, manufacturer releasing a wafer-level chip-scale package accelerometer. So Bosch released also some years ago, so 2 years ago, a wafer-level chip-scale package accelerometer using also a TSV approach in order to connect the IC die with the package. But Bosch at this time were using a via middle TSV, a copper TSV, in fact. And we know now that this component is not anymore in production since 1 year. So up to now, in fact, M-Cube is the only player using wafer-level chip-scale package for the 3-axis accelerometer. We know that there are other producers, other manufacturers, which are also dealing with this packaging approach for the accelerometer, and we believe to see more wafer-level chip-scale accelerometers maybe in the next month or this year at least from other players. So regarding the packaging player here, this new integration is made by ASE, in fact, and M-Cube is still relying on the same foundry for the MEMS and the IC part. So to conclude with this example of sensors, we can see, in fact, that we call the low-end application are still driving, in fact, the volume of TSV right now. The main interest for the TSV for sensors is to obtain a better form factor linked to the footprint or the thickness of the final component. And in terms of volume, of course, it is the CMOS image sensor, which is the main adopter for this technology. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you all for this relevant and very interesting information. We are now going to wrap up with the Q&A session. So we have a few questions, and the speakers will follow up via email on the remaining questions. So Emily, the first question will be for you, and it's the following one. Deep learning seems to be a hot topic. What is going on the automotive market?
Okay, deep learning is indeed an interesting topic for the automotive industry. The automotive industry as we know it is changing. It's not the classical automotive landscape as we used to know it. There are many sensors. There are a lot of video, image, storage, treatment, some database. So now we see some interesting partnership, like, for example, NVIDIA has developed specific product for autonomous driving. And we saw there were some announcements recently between automotive suppliers, NVIDIA, and all the people. So we see some partnerships between the industry, semiconductor industry, and the automotive one. So yes, this is indeed an interesting topic.
Okay, thank you very much. Next question will be for Audrey. Audrey, could you explain the weak IP position of SK hynix compared to its good market position?
Okay. It's true that in the case of SK hynix, we observe a marked discrepancy between good market position with HBM production, but also 3DS, DDR4 and YDO, and low IP position. This can be explained by, I think, the young patent portfolio of SK hynix. Its patent portfolio average age is only 3 years. It increased its patenting activity on TSV memory after 2010. Its IP leadership is still weak, but will certainly increase in the future and improve its IP position.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Second question, Audrey, for you. What's your feeling about the patent litigation between ELM and Samsung, Micron, SK hynix, and about the potential final decision?
Interesting question. It is most likely that a large part of ELM's patent will be invalidated, we think. Defendants will not have much material injury. Besides, one of ELM patents has already been invalidated by SK hynix, Samsung, and Micron experts report last September. You can access more details about this litigation in the report. Thank you.
Okay, we will certainly. Maybe the last question of the webcast for you, Romain. Why Bosch stopped the production of its WLTSP accelerometer?
It's a good question. In fact, we are not sure, but so we asked Bosch some time ago about the decision to stop the production of this accelerometer, and it seems that in fact the cost was not so interesting compared to the standard LGA component they had, and in terms of integration, it's also important to note that the Bosch approach is still using 2 dies. It's much more complicated, in fact, for wafer level chip scale integration. So the M-Cube approach is very different because they are just using 1 die, which is much more easier in terms of the possibility offered for this wafer level chip scale packaging. So we assume that in terms of cost, Bosch was not able to deal with a low-cost approach, and maybe M-Cube found the right approach in order to propose it.
Okay, thank you very much for your answer, Romain. So now the webcast is ending. So as we said, within the next 24 hours, you will receive an email that will include the recorded session. Please feel free to share the presentation with your colleague who will benefit from the information that has just been presented today, and find all of our analysis and reports on imacronews.com. Thank you for joining us today. Do not hesitate to contact us if you have additional questions, and you can find your appropriate contact on the last slide of the presentation. Thank you and have a good day.